Hello and welcome back to the GorillaBiker and the lovely Valkyrie. Today what we're doing is trying to fix a lean issue that I've been having on this bike. We're going to be using the Valkyrie Carbs and Customs Airbox Easy mod, which is really cool, and I'm going to jump to that very quickly. But the other things that we have done to try alleviate this issue is all new exhaust gaskets, check the valves, intake runners, O-rings, and check the airbox seal. So basically this is the last thing along the line, and I do think it's it because I did find one of my airbox tubes not seated properly on the carb. So I do think that was the issue, and I have been checking my spark plugs also, and the spark plugs obviously did need you kind of have to monitor your spark plugs. Other than that, then the one thing I have not done yet, which I may have to do obviously at some point soon, is the air fuel idle ratio, which is not a big deal if I do end up having to do that as well. But yeah, for now, all we're going to do is take off this tank, which I'm not going to show on video, but it's just 2 bolts. Well, I'll show you which bolt you have to take out. If you have never taken off the tank before, you're going to want to remove your seat, which if you've never done that before, there's a little key right here. You turn your actual normal bike key, you pull up the seat here, and then if you have a one-piece seat like I do, you slide it back, otherwise you just lift it straight up. It hooks in here. Or so you lift it up, pull forward and lift straight up. That's the hook that the seat goes into. After that, you have a size 12 bolt here, and I have a size 8 bolt. I don't know, is that the original? I don't think it is. I'm going to see, can I order the original? And then you obviously want to disconnect your fuel line. My one is right there on my Pingle switch. And then you can lift the whole tank. You want to pull it back a bit and then lift it up. This is a 7-gallon tank with quite a lot of fuel in it, so be careful. Obviously your tank could be heavy. I recommend emptying it out a bit before you remove it. And after that, you're going to pull your airbox, which for you is probably just going to be removing all of your airbox tubes. Let me show you one I prepared earlier. So you're going to want to take off the strap here and here. I'll show you what you're going to do with the rest of it. The clamps. There's a clamp here, and obviously on these, all of them. This you're going to want to take off here. You don't want to pull it out with the box. And then there's also another tube here. If you have not desmogged your bike, there's also going to be a tube right here. Mine on this bike that we're working on today has been blocked off. This is the airbox from the spare bike. But yeah, you want to disconnect those 3 tubes if you have 3, or 2 if you have 2, and then you'll be able to lift this up. And there's also a bolt right here, securing the airbox in place. After that, you're going to want to open up all of these screws around the sides, which are all, I imagine, JIS. I use a JIS screwdriver anyway. Take out your air filter, which should be sitting in there and looks like this. This is a new one I have. And then you'll be able to continue on with the video. I already know what I've done because I'm actually finished. This is an intro because I forgot to do an intro. So yeah, that's what you're going to do. Any questions? Pop them in the comments and I can do a short or something if you are completely lost. Here to help. Anyway, back to the rest of the video. So this is the Valkyrie Easy Install Airbox mod kit like we just talked about. And this is from David Morgan at Valkyrie Carbs and Customs. I cannot take any credit at all, but we're just going to run through doing one. I've already completed one. This is part of it left here, and obviously you are going to need your airbox off. I've done that in the past in videos, so I'm not going to repeat it here. Taking the airbox off is not that bad, but to start with, you're going to get his knife that comes in the kit. You're going to extend it out and lock it, and then you're going to just lift this up slightly here so you can get the knife in behind it and carefully cut. Always cut away from yourself, obviously. This is kind of hard to show on camera, but you want to cut with just a pulling motion, not anything else. I'm going to have to put this on my lap for a sec. So you're going to cut that off, then you're going to trim. You're going to trim the edge around here. So you see this ridge here? That ridge? You want that to end up looking like that. So you just take the blade and basically trim it carefully. And the longer out you have this blade, it kind of self-levels itself. And again, you just want to cut with a pulling motion and always away from yourself, because it can hit a bit that it'll speed up on. and you don't want that to speed up into your face. And like that, I'm not going to focus on it, but there you go. It works pretty well. That's that one ready. And then on this guy here, you want to trim off. Now someone's been at this in the past and covered it in like different sealers and stuff, because I've obviously had this issue. We're going to cut this little nubbin off here to make it just round. Like that. So next, once you've that leveled out, you're going to flip it upside down like so. You're going to grab one of these conical washers that come in the kit, and you're going to place it flat on the bottom like that. You're going to get the paint marker that David very kindly provides, and we're going to mark around the other way. So hold on, let me show you that. Here you can see the conical washer has a narrow side and a wide side. You want the wide side facing up, and then you're going to go along and just mark on all of these ridges. I'll show you why in a second. Once you have those marked on there, you're going to focus for me. Once you have those marked on there, what we're going to do is put on one of the supplied pipe clamps. We will reuse this in a minute. We're going to just slide that over, and then what we're going to do is tighten it so that it acts as our level along all these white lines. So you want to level this against all your white lines like that, okay? And then what we're going to do is use that as our cut guide to chop off this top piece here. For the final trim, the first time what I did is I actually loosened this clamp off and just moved it down out of the way. Otherwise you kind of hit that clamp edge. So you want to just kind of line it up between the two you've made, and then you can just cut straight between them. Now you can throw away this piece here. Now that most awkward bit of this so far is actually getting this tube in. He does say in the instructions that if you need to lubricate this, just to use some alcohol. Personally, I did not need to lubricate it. It just took a little bit of squeezing and coercing, which is what we're going to do here now. You want to push that in there like that until, see, can you see it? You might not be able to see this, but on this white piece here, there's actually a shoulder that my nail is hitting here now, that raised shoulder, and you want to push that down until that shoulder hits. Then you want to get your clamp back. He advises line the screw in the clamp up with this bulge here, and then you want to tighten that up. You don't want to go over tight you never want to over tighten clamps, but that's what we're going to do. We're just going to nip that up. Once you have that done, you want to get your conical washer, and again, you want to have the narrow side facing down, and you want to pull that down over your tube so it ends up looking like this. Now we're going to pop this onto the bike. And then what you're going to do is seat them on there like that. Now, I do find these are the worst tubes for staying attached to a carb I've ever come across. However, this does make it a lot easier. But basically we're going to locate them like this, and then let me show you. Essentially, what you're going to do is once you have the airbox in place, this is going to sit onto the inside of the airbox like that, and then this system clamps down on top of it and screws on, which I will show you when we're there. But yeah, really impressive, honestly. The whole kit's really well thought out. I'm going to finish off the rest, and then I'll show you them installed. So once again, this is what it should look like when you have it ready, and this lumpy bit here should face like in. So again, that's probably why he said to put the screw on the lump, because then you can see all the screws or bolts face down, so don't be contacting anything. And then literally all you're going to do when you're putting these on, so obviously I'm going to put the ring on this in a sec, but just to show you, you're just going to slide that on there, and then you're going to tighten it up like these ones and try to give them a twist and everything else. So these ones are all really, really well seated now. Much better and much easier than it was. So what I'm going to do is fix that one, and then we're going to get to putting the actual airbox on there. And then we're going to give it a start, get the tank back on and stuff, and then we're going to give it a start to see how it sounds. I'm also going to put in a new air filter, even though I'll show you. So I already had a brand new air filter for this. This is the one that came out of the bike, and I think the previous owner probably, so I might keep this one. and reuse this one, because the previous owner, I imagine, was chasing down air leaks and whatnot, or whatever else, because this bike was popping. Hopefully this helps. I mean, the Viton O-rings that I changed down here, also from Valkyrie Carbs and Customs, that definitely helped. And obviously I've done the valves were too tight, so I'm hoping this is the last piece of the secret. But yeah, what I'm going to do now is tighten that down. Oh, by the way, when it sits into the airbox, that's how these are supposed to sit back on. Not that hard. I'm not sure I'm going to run them. I might try it without them just to see how it works. On his website, David does say that some people have run it without that. But yeah, this is going to sit onto the tube when we do it, and then that tightens down onto the Ghibli, this guy here. That screws down onto this. So yeah, we're going to give that a go, and we'll see how it looks. Okay, so just what I was doing here is cleaning all of these areas, because obviously this seal is important here, and mine was covered in sealant. So let's see, can we get this installed? So what I'm going to do first is just kind of get everything seated as best I can. Now I'm just putting on the washers roughly in the location. Now, David does say it's best to push on the airbox to get a few threads exposed, and I see what he means by that. So we're just going to try to get one or two of these on. Another thing David does say, which you can see me doing right now, is just kind of, he says, work your way back and forward, tightening it all up, which is what I'm doing nice and carefully, because they are kind of in areas a little bit harder to get into position, but that's okay. I do like this though. I think this is a much better system than OEM, to be honest. And the nice thing about it is, if you ever damage any, I might even just order a second set of this so I have some spare parts, because this honestly is a really, really good idea. And until I start it up, I'm not going to say it's like not a complicated install, but hopefully when we start it up, everything just runs nicely. But yeah, just working back and forth, tightening everything down is what I'm doing. I have to say it's pretty obvious by feel when these are tight enough, because you're just not really able to turn them anymore. So now I'm going to get the air filter on there. What I will say, and like I said, I'm testing this, but if you wanted to put these back on, literally you kind of have to sit them on like that. And what I did earlier is I got my finger inside it and just helped it pry apart. It's not the easiest thing to seat, and he does say that in the instructions, but like you want to kind of get them like that, you know, and obviously one half is going to face forward, one half is going to face backwards. We'll try it, but I kind of, you know what, we're going to leave it for now, and I'm going to see does it make a difference, because I'm actually interested to see, is this something that you could theoretically leave off, because I think a lot of people ideally would like to not have to install this, because it would obviously be a lot nicer. Alright, now to bolt everything back up. What I want to do now is, there should still be enough fuel in the carbs for us to start this up and see does it pop immediately. Now, this isn't the finest test because I'm not sure how much fuel is actually left in this, but let's see. Let's see what happens. I will say that already sounds better. Earlier, just even on startup on choke, it was popping like crazy. So I think that has actually helped a lot, and I am very pleased. So yeah, that's good. It's good news. That is good news. Now I just got to put this tank back on and whatnot, and then we can really start it. Okay, tank is back on. I think my fuel is hooked back up correctly. Let's see what happens. I did spill a bit of fuel, so there is a fire risk here, but let's find out how she runs. So that's that done. actually pretty straightforward to do. Bike sounds a lot better at idle now. It's not popping anymore because I actually found when I came home from work one day, and I don't know, is this because I didn't have it sealed up properly or just because of the air volume perspective it's good, but from an fitment perspective it's bad. But yeah, huge props to David Morgan of Valkyrie Carbs and Customs, because having available spare parts like these is absolutely critical to keeping bikes like this on the road. So that's like the desmog, finished the desmog, got from Valkyrie Carbs and Customs. The O-rings for the intake runners I got from Valkyrie Carbs and Customs, and now this Airbox mod, which not only is it a modification, but I think it's an improvement to how it fits from factory too, in my opinion. Now, the only thing I did not do is I did not put back on these. What are these designed for? It's to accelerate the Venturi tubes. They're to accelerate airflow. Now, would most people notice? No. David has stated allegedly these were put in place to fix a flat spot as the bike is sitting stock. But personally, I'm going to try that and I'm going to test it and I'm going to let you know. I don't think I'm going to notice from my butt dyno. And that is the most important thing. So if I'm looking to get small incremental gains in the future, I might return to put these back on. But for now, I think a bigger change is the fact that the bike is no longer running lean. So that's as easy as it is to fit. You just have to take off your tank, you have to take out your airbox, and then you have to cut all those tubes as I did. It's genuinely not that bad. It took me about an hour and a half maybe. So yeah, that's it. If you watched, thank you very much for watching. As always, a very special thank you to all of my patrons. I do really appreciate your support. Another special thank you to Valkyrie Carbs and Customs and David Morgan. Not only has all the stuff worked absolutely flawlessly, but the communication from David Morgan and Valkyrie Carbs and Customs is excellent. Is and has been excellent, I should say. So yeah, highly, highly, highly recommend picking up some parts from Valkyrie Carbs and Customs if that's something you're after. And yeah, I just realised I never emailed one of the people who watch these Valkyrie videos back. I am so sorry. I'm going to email you now. And yeah, that's it. Thanks again for watching. Adios. Outro crew. I still get... Well, doggy, that's very rude. I still get a pop after I accelerate at idle, but I think that's just a carb thing, possibly. I'm not going to worry about it for now. Anyway, if you could make one modification to the Valkyrie and or sell one of my bikes, which one would it be? I'm interested to know your opinion, Outro crew. Bye, Outro crew.